Hey everybody, welcome to Country Boy Catfishing. Uh, Today we're at a lake close to my house. Went out and got some fresh bait. Frozen bait is okay, but I prefer fresh bait. Uh, I just had better luck with it. Uh, we're in an area in southern Oklahoma, near the town of Duncan. We're on Lake Humphreys. This is one of the Duncan City lakes. You have Lake Humphreys, Clear Creek, Duncan Lake, and Fuquay Lake. Uh, for the bait today, I got some fresh shad. I'm fixing to get cut up, throw out. Uh, had a couple hours to fish, so I figured I'd come here close to the house. I'm literally 15 minutes away from home, and we're gonna sit and see what happens. So hang with us. I'm gonna get some bait on the lines and get them out there. Y'all can tell this is some good fresh bloody bait. Uh, Gizzard shad, 4 ounce, no roll sinker. I've got 40-pound main line and 60-pound leader line with the 10-aught hook. I always use circle hook. Not really the best conditions today. About 40 degrees, but the sun is shining. North wind's blowing, but never know unless you go. I don't believe in fishing in the north wind, but it's still better than sitting at the house. Not very deep here, guys. It's probably 3, maybe 4 foot deep max. But sun's been out yesterday, been out a little bit today. So I'm kind of hoping it's starting to warm some of this water up. So I'm gonna try a little shallower. I do have some deeper places on this lake you can get, but I'm gonna try the shallow water and see what happens. These rods, guys, I've got a little bit smaller weight. I'm only using a 2 ounce. My leaders are different lengths. On my cut shed, on the body pieces, I like to hook it through the gut pocket just to kind of hold it in there a little bit better. That gut pocket is really tough. I've had good luck with it. There is no current in these lakes, just wind. So I can get by with 2 ounces of weight, especially on these real light ugly stick rods. On the ugly sticks, I've got the 6500 Abu Garcia wide spool, and on the Shimano Tidewaters, I've got the Abu Garcia 7000s. Abu Garcia is about all I use. I am going to start branching out and trying some different stuff, but I've never used anything but Abu Garcia. I've had great luck with them. I know the reels are expensive, but my wife is wanting to get into trying to use bait casters, and I'm trying to find her something that's not quite as expensive as the Abus. That way, if she don't like it, I'm not out several $100s on reels. We haven't had a lot of rain. The lakes are kind of down a little bit, but normally right here at my rods, where the water is at, there's about a 2 and 3 foot drop off. Like I say, it's close to the house, so I try it. I don't have a lot of faith in these lakes, these Duncan area lakes. They used to be great fisheries, and a guy took them over and just didn't take care of them. And they got overfished. They haven't been restocked, but a new guy has taken over the lakes and really trying to clean them up and starting to work on them, and hopefully they'll start restocking them. They used to have grow ponds that they would keep the lake stocked, which I think they've got away from that and just going to start stocking them via a company because it's cheaper. These lakes used to be really good fisheries. Lake Fuquay, it used to be a trophy bass lake, and Duncan Lake used to be excellent with the catfish. There still are fish in these lakes, but they're only supported by what the spawn does and what survives the spawn. Catfish were not one of their prime species. You have some saugeye, crappie, sand bass or white bass. I'm hoping they start taking care of these lakes again and bring them back up to good fishing status. It's nice to have a place close to home. People can take their kids and their families and go fish. These lakes, all four of these Duncan lakes, are a permit lake. So instead of just your Oklahoma license, you do have to have a permit. But you can buy a permit for $2 a day, or you can buy a yearly permit for $10. And that yearly permit is good on all four of the Duncan area lakes. So that's really not bad. A lot of the lakes around here are permit lakes. A lot in Oklahoma, Lake Ellsworth, some of those you have to have a permit. There are lakes that don't require the permit, but I don't mind paying for the permit to help try and support the fishery and get them taken care of like they need to be. These Duncan lakes, like I said, I'm using fresh gizzard shad, but you have to catch them on rod and reel. You can go out with small crappie jigs and catch them. They do not let you cast net in any of these Duncan lakes. It's a $300 fine to catch you out here with a cast net. Not all the lakes around here are like that, but the Duncan lakes are. Which I don't really mind, because when you can go out and you get into 14 and 16-inch shad, you're catching them on little ultralight tackle and jigs. Man, even catching bait can be fun. I have caught some smaller catfish out of here during the spring and summer. There's just not numbers of them. There are fish in here, you just don't have the numbers. But it is close to home. That wind's blowing right in here. Y'all probably can't see in the camera, but there's lots of trees, standing timber in the water. Comes back in here, standing timber everywhere, and it splits into two little creek coves, kind of like a creek channel, one this way and one that way. So I'm kind of hoping with all this in here, they may be hid up around some of this structure. This whole side of the shore, there's lots of rocks too, so it's got a good rocky bottom. So there's a really nice spot just up the bank from me. It's got deeper water, usually 18, 20 foot, lots of rocks. Looks awful fishy. If there's a big flathead in here, looks like he would be up there in them rocks. I didn't choose to fish there today. I just got down here close and got set up. Kind of been experimenting. I know a lot of guys have been catching them in the deeper water, 30 to 40 foot. But so far, every fish I've caught this winter has been on a sunny day, and it's been up in shallow water, 3 to 6 foot. And they're not all small. I've had anywhere from 15 to 40 pounders in that 3 to 6 foot of water range. And I think it just heats up quicker and draws the shad. And the hungry fish come out of the deep water up into the shallow, and they'll feed and then go back to their hole. And this lake here, excuse me, I fished with shad, bluegill, uh, crawdads, goldfish, uh, punch bait, cut shad, live shad, and for some reason, this body of water, uh, just regular old night crawlers, red worms. Red worms do really good here, and I don't normally fish with them, but my wife will sit out there with just a little hole with a cork and some red worm on it, and she was catching 5 to 8 pound catfish right on the bank, like less than a foot of water. And I was stubborn. I stuck it out with my poles out in the deep water and looking for that big catfish. She definitely outfished me versus the big catfish versus the numbers of fish. Her fish were a lot smaller, but she caught a lot more of them this past year. Pretty quiet out here. There's not a whole lot of boat traffic. Got some pelicans off in the water over here to our right. Like I say, not the perfect fishing conditions, but I'm not sitting at the house and I come out here and I got some baits in the water and there's not a person as far as I can see on this lake. I've just about got the lake to myself, which I don't mind. Normally my wife will fish with me a lot, but she's more of a warm weather fisherman. She does not like this cold weather. Guys, wintertime, just everywhere. The bite is slow. You have to just be patient, sit there, put in your time. But wintertime is definitely a slower bite. I'm waiting for the waters to warm up to where I can start chunking bigger pieces of bait. I do like throwing the bigger, as Steve Douglas calls them, chunky chunks, because the little fish don't bother your bait as much. Some of our lakes, we have a lot of little small channel cat in it, and them little channel cat will sit there and peck and peck and peck the bait. With them bigger pieces of bait on there, I can throw them out and hopefully avoid the channel cat sitting there pecking them to death. Most of these lakes, guys, the Duncan area lakes, they were built in like the 1950s, late 1950s. So they've been here a while. Uh, this particular lake, I they were working on it and it filled up faster than what they thought. And we had some storms come through, and there's actually bulldozers and heavy equipment in the bottom of this lake because the rains and stuff come and just covered them up. There used to be a town here, the township, and all those houses and stuff are underwater in this lake. So you can come out here and find a lot of structure underwater, which me for catfishing, I love rocks and I love standing timber. You can find standing timber or logs down in the water and a rock bottom, anything like that. You're usually going to find catfish. You lose a lot of sinkers, you'll get snagged, but that's just part of it. I'm willing to sacrifice some lead to be able to hook into some good ones. Kind of got a late start today. I didn't get out early like I like. Finally got caught up. Went and caught some fresh bait real quick. Come to the lake. Guys, you can catch fish on frozen bait if you take care of it right. But as long as I've got the option, I can go out and catch me some fresh bait in less than 30 minutes or so. I'm going to go try and get the fresh bait first. And frozen bait is kind of my last resort. If I can get fresh bait, I'm always going to use fresh bait. And a lot of guys don't like them, but the shad head, the gizzard shad head, is my favorite piece of bait on the shad. I've had really good luck with it. I plan on traveling around and hitting some of the big rivers and hopefully get to meet and fish with some of the other guys on YouTube with their fishing pages. And certain rivers, they have skipjack herring and stuff that they use for bait and have good luck on it. I would like to go catch the skipjack and try them out and see what happens. To me, even catching a skipjack, just going out and catching it for bait, looks like it'd be a lot of fun. Guys, if you like to catfish, there's a great catfish community on YouTube. Lots of guys you can go on, bank fishermen and boat fishermen alike, and one big family. You can go on, you can learn a lot. There's a lot of guys up in the DC area, Chunky Cat, the Fisherman's Magician, Haslide, the Baltimore Angler. There's several of them around that area that do a lot of bank fishing. And if you just like fishing, you ought to go check them out. You'd be surprised what you can learn. Different baits and stuff, like up around the DC area. Eel is real popular bait up there. I never even thought about using eel for bait, but it works on the Potomac River up there that they fish. Guys, Steve Douglas, the catfish dude, look him up. He is just full of knowledge. He's been doing this for years and years. Dieter Melhorn, he does a lot. Muskrat Adventures, Fishing with the Chad. Guys, there's tons and tons of channels out there that you can look up and watch content. And it's educational. It's not just fishing, it's educational. And that's what we're all trying to do. We're all trying to learn and teach others as we go, and so that everyone gets to get out and enjoy the sport. I mean, fishing is a family sport. Everyone can do it. It's a great way to spend time with the family, even your friends. there are some great moments. You have a bonding experience with guys fishing, and you make friendships that last a lifetime. But there's guys all over the country doing this YouTube. Uh, Two Stands is in the West Virginia area. Uh, Man, they fish a lot on the James River. James River has some huge catfish in it. There's guys that fish down around Lake Texoma, which is closer to my area. You just never know what you're going to find. You'd be surprised. Different techniques that guys try, different rigs. Uh, like a lot of them, they use the Santee Cooper rig, which is basically it's a Carolina rig with a float on it, and it kind of helps pick the bait up. And they'll have uh, rattles and stuff on them, which really work great if you have current. Most of our lakes we don't have current; it's just the wind, but you're not going to really get a benefit from the rattle. But if you do any fishing in the creeks when the creeks flood during the spring, or go hit like Red River or anything where there's moving current, uh, those rattles and stuff and that float might be beneficial to you. Anytime you have a lot of current, there's stuff coming down the river or the creeks here, you get a lot of leaves and stuff. If your bait is right on bottom, it's going to cover it up and hide it from the fish. If you have that float on there that picks it up 2 to 3 foot off the bottom, guys, that's really going to help keep your bait active and keep it seen where it's not just covered up and buried. Any little thing you can do to give yourself an edge fishing is a good idea. I try and learn as much as I can from all these guys. They're really great. They have live stream fishing like I do. They make videos. There's also talk shows where you can get on there, ask questions, get answers. Everyone's just shares knowledge and is there to help everybody. It's a great community. I got into this YouTube watching these guys, and even though we have satellite TV, I very seldom ever watch TV. Uh, I can usually find someone in the fishing community on YouTube that has something going on that I can watch, and it's nice. You got guys from all over. Palmetto Cats, Kevin, he's another real good one to watch. And it's not all about catching giant fish, guys. There are guys that go out and that's all they want to do is catch giant fish. But you can go out like we are, and man, we're just here to see what's going to bite. You can catch giant fish in these lakes, but it's not as frequent as the rivers because you don't have as many of the big boys swimming around. Uh, I'm just excited with any fish. I don't care if it's 2 pounds or if it's 20 pounds, I still get excited. Guys, good advice. Before you go fishing a certain body of water, look it up, Google it, see what kind of fish are in that body of water. Because it's not going to do you no good to go out there and try and catch flathead every day if there's no flathead in that body of water. Know what's in that body of water so you know what you're fishing for because they are different. channel cat hit different than the blue cat. The blue cats are different than the flathead. So gain as much information about the body of water you're fishing before you go. That will help you target the specific species in that lake. Uh, Bait. Uh, Guys, find out what's natural in that lake. Uh, I've seen a lot of guys like Dieter Melhorn and them, Creole catfishing in them rivers. They are catching tons of fish and some really big fish on chicken breast with Kool-Aid, with garlic, whatever. Uh, I have tried the chicken breast. I didn't bring it with me today. I've got some still made up, ready to go. Uh, I have yet to catch one on the chicken breast in about 3 months, but that doesn't mean you won't. Uh, I'm not going to like bait all my lines with it, but normally I keep one rod with chicken breast on it just to see what happens, because you can't say it don't catch fish because there's too many videos out there and too many people using it and catching fish. But you try and learn. Uh, I think one of the reasons the chicken does well in certain areas is mussel beds. If they have a lot of mussel beds in their water, then catfish are eating them mussels. And I think that chicken gives it kind of close to the same texture as those mussels. I don't know that for a fact, kind of a mystery, but that is my theory. So, and just because your lake doesn't have mussels in it, that catfish comes by and he's hungry, man, he's going to hit whatever. I've seen people catch them on hot dogs, gummy worms, Cheetos. Guys, you just never know until you go. And don't be afraid to try different stuff. If you know there's good fish in a body of water and you've been going out there fishing and fishing and fishing and you're not getting hit, don't be afraid to try a different bait. Uh, there are times of the year different baits will work better than others. There's no one magic bait that's just on fire year round. Uh, if your lakes have shad in them, shad is usually a good choice of bait because you can fish with it live in the spring and summer. You can fish with it with cut bait, which really in the winter I mainly use it for cut bait because I downsize my bait because the fish are not as aggressive when they feed. And a lot of the times during the winter, they like that smaller bait. I've seen it come in the fall. People start downsizing, and instead of one big bait, they'll rig a Kentucky rig with two hooks and put two smaller pieces of bait. And I have seen some big fish caught on little bitty chunks on a Kentucky rig. As a rule of thumb, everyone says bigger bait, bigger fish. Well, that's not always true. I have seen big fish hit a small bait, and I have seen little fish hit a big bait. I've caught fish and got them into the bank, and the hook wasn't even hooked in them. The bait was so big that once they got it in their mouth and I put pressure on them, they got the bait hung in their mouth and couldn't spit it back out. Like I would have to literally just pry the bait out of their mouth. The hook wasn't even hooked in them. There is literally nobody else fishing out here on this lake except me and the birds. Like I say, it is cold, north wind. A lot of guys won't even come out. I'm sure y'all all heard that wise saying, Wind's out of the west, the fish bite the best. When the wind's out of the east, the fish bite the least. Wind's out of the south, blows the hook in the fish's mouth. When the wind's out of the north, only a foolish fisherman goes forth. But that's not always true, guys. I have been out in areas with the north wind uh, where the fish were still feeding. I mean, sit there and catch 20 to 22 fish. The main thing with fishing is you never know until you try it, guys. And don't be afraid to move around. As we fish, we try and pattern the fish and learn from them. And we get in our minds like wintertime. Everyone says deep holes. It's just in our mind. Normally, the catfish will pile up in these deep wintering holes, and that's where you're going to find it. And I have been fishing some deeper waters, but most of the water we can reach from the bank in our local areas is about 20-foot max. And there's not a whole lot of areas from the bank with deep water you can hit. And I have not caught not one fish in the deeper water. Uh, the deeper water, I have not even got a bite out of yet. But I have caught fish uh, out of the 3 to 6 foot range uh, on the sunny days, which kind of goes against what everyone teaches in the winter, deep holes. But when that water warms up, if you get enough sunshine on that water and it starts to warm up and it starts bringing that water temperature up, they will start to move. What pulls them in is that water heats up in the shallow backwater areas like these coves and stuff. And as that water heats up, the plankton starts to move because of the light and the heat and the sun. Well, the bait fish are after that plankton. So they come in and they start moving up in there. Well, once the bait fish are in there, guess what follows them? The catfish. Most important thing in the wintertime, guys, is patience. You just never know. The other night, I watched Haz and the Fishing Magician sitting out fishing their local river, and they were fishing at night. And they sat there almost 5 hours with 7 rods in the water, almost 5 hours before a fish finally hit. And that was the only fish, but they stuck it out in the cold and everything and got that one fish. Seems to be in my area right now, it's the daytime bite. When that sun gets up, it's nice and high, it's warm in that water. But once that sun goes down, they just shut down because a lot of the places I fish do have shallow water. And once that water starts to cool off, then fish move back to their deep holes. Why? Summertime, it's great fishing at night. Wintertime, shallow water, not so much. You can go out and try it, but I'm not going to go out there and sit and freeze and knowing that the fish are not biting. I've tried it this year already, and they're just not up in that shallow water at night. Once that sun starts to go down and that temperature drops, it's just like flipping a switch. still not that bad out here, guys. It is cold, but I'm not freezing by any means. I think the high today was supposed to be 43. I know that water temp is still kind of cool. Fix y'all a little bit, y'all crooked. A little better. But I have noticed that with colder water, these blue cats, when I've been catching them in the shallow water, they're nice and cool, but it brings out colors in the fish, almost like some purples and some pinks, and really beautiful, beautiful to see. I don't know why that is, but it seems like the colder water affects the pigment of their skin. This particular lake here, Lake Humphreys, man, I remember when I was a kid in school, this lake, they used to come out here and just slaughter the large slab crappie. I mean, they would come out here and catch them in numbers. That's been many, many, many years ago. These lakes used to be booming. Everyone had lake houses and stuff out here. And when the lakes went down, people just quit coming because they want to go camp where they can actually catch fish, take the grandkids, the kids. Now that they're starting to take care of them again, getting them all cleaned out, fixing all the docks and stuff, I think we're going to start seeing, if they stock them back up, start taking care of them, we'll start seeing more people come out here and camp. And that helps a lot, guys. You know, not everybody wants to travel 2 hours just to go fish. It really helps if you've got water around you that you can get to close to home. Days that you don't have a lot of time to fish or something, just like today with me, man. I went and got bait, and this place is literally 15 minutes from my house. So that makes it nice. Got a few birds diving in the water. Doing the same thing I am. They're out here fishing. So far, it looks like they're having better luck, though. Come on, fish. This lake here does have fishing docks you can get on to get out in the deeper water. I didn't go to them today. I was trying for shallower water. And most of the fishing docks are centrally located in the lake. So with the north wind we've had, I figured the fish would be over here on the south end of the lake. But I don't know everything, guys. I had been wrong before. you see the color. You would think that this winter, Lord, guys, just come out of nowhere. But I was thinking with this north wind and stuff, fish have bait pushed up into this cove. But I'm not even seeing a lot of bird activity back in here. It sure is nice and sunny. That sun's the only reason I'm able to stay out here right now. If that sun wasn't out, that north wind, it would be cold. It said it was 43, but it felt like 35. But I'm still out here. I'm gonna try and stay out here till it starts getting dark at least. Excuse me. Give them a chance, see what happens. I may not catch anything. You never know. Like I say, these lakes don't have the numbers of fish in them, but there are fish still in here. These lakes here are a prime example of what happens when people come out and keep every single fish they catch. When you're just relying on the spawn to replenish the lake and everyone is taking numbers of fish out of the lake, you can overfish a lake. Uh, it's okay to keep some to eat, and but I don't believe I don't keep a freezer full of fish. Uh, I'm not stocked up. If I want fish to eat, I'll go out and catch me a few feeder fish. I don't keep any of the bigger fish. I always turn them loose, let them grow, let them keep breeding, keeping the population going in the lake. I know everybody don't believe in that, but guys, these lakes, these Duncan lakes, are a prime example of that. They went from just phenomenal fisheries to almost nothing. Fuquay Lake used to be a trophy bass lake. People come from all over to fish that thing. And when they quit taking care of the lake, quit taking care of the fish and stuff, it just slowly died out. And now they're going to have to work and rebuild these lakes. And it don't happen overnight, guys. Even when they stock these lakes, they can stock these lakes and put limits on them. And you're looking at a good 5 years to see them fish start gaining in size and really starting to show a difference in the lake and bring that fishery back. It don't happen overnight. It takes years once you run a lake down to bring it back. But they are finally starting to take care of them, and That's a step in the right path. We got some small birds over here fishing, catching shad, minnows, something. Guys, be respectful when you go fishing. Uh, you don't have to keep every single fish. This is a resource, and if you abuse the resource, it can disappear. And we want to keep places like this uh, for the future generations. Grandpas be able to bring their grandkids out here and teach them how to fish on these lakes. Not just a fishing experience, but that's time and memories that last a lifetime. And they pass that knowledge on. You just never forget those moments. And we want the people to be able to still come out and share those moments. Like me, my grandchildren and my wife, I bring them out, and I'm more excited when they catch a fish than they are. It just means a lot to me. I love it. My kids all grew up fishing and hunting with me, and they're all grown, and now I've started on the grandbabies. I tell you what, I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. But we need to keep these resources going and protect them so that our grandchildren and our children, have the same opportunities to fish like we did. A lot of guys ask why I don't keep the big fish. Hey, Circle Hook Productions, how are you? A lot of guys ask why I don't keep the big fish and why I turn them back. Guys, depending on your body of water and the areas you fish, it takes a long time for a fish to reach 20 pounds even. And if you're taking all them 20 pounders out of the lakes and the bigger fish, uh, you've got to wait for that spawn. And if everyone's taking the big fish out, you've got no big fish to breed and keep the resource alive. Uh, there are plenty of eater fish and stuff in these lakes and these waters that you can catch the smaller fish and eat them, and that's okay. But the big ones, it's very important to put our bigger fish back so that we keep that gene pool alive. Not all fish reach great sizes either. Just like deer, genetics. You want to keep that genetics alive. The guys that fish up around DC and stuff, I feel sorry for them because if they catch a record catfish and they call it in and report it, uh, they'll measure the fish, weigh it, put it in the books and stuff, but they immediately kill the fish. To me, that's so sad. That's such a waste and a shame. I know most of them are not going to call it in because they don't want to see the fish killed either. Guys, check out Circle Hook Productions on YouTube. He's another channel. Does some great fishing. Uh, you ought to go over, check out his page, search him out, uh, give him a like and subscribe to him. Like I say, we're out here in Duncan, Oklahoma, close to my home, and 15 minutes from the house. And had a couple hours to fish, so I got some fresh bait and come out here and decided to try it and see what happens. Went and got me some fresh shad, so we got fresh cut shad on all the rods. We are in shallow water. Catching big fish is fun. Catching big fish in shallow water is even more fun. For some reason, in the shallow water, they put on a fight, and I just love it. Not everybody has this opportunity, guys. I know a lot of guys travel a long way just to be able to get to a spot they can fish. And I'm blessed enough to have these four local lakes real close to home. Even though I don't fish them very often, the opportunity is there. Uh, I normally fish other lakes where I know there are more numbers of fish. Uh, it's not just about the quantity, it's bigger sizes. But it was too late to run to one of them lakes. And if I wouldn't have had these lakes here close to the house to be able to fish, I would have been sitting at home bored out of my mind. You got guys that are really blessed, live close to the water. Some of them have to travel a ways. Peter Melhorn, he lives right on the water. I mean, he can literally be at the boat ramp, unloaded in the water in like 15 minutes or less. Uh, that's awesome to be able to do that. You got places that have a lot of bank fishing and some places that don't. A lot of our lakes, uh, we had a drought several years back, about 4 years back, maybe 5, and all the lakes got really, really low. And some places you could almost cross the lakes. And a lot of willow trees and brush and stuff grew up along the shoreline. And when they filled up, all that brush and stuff was along the shoreline, and it made it hard to get to a spot to bank fish. Uh, this one here, in this area I'm at, it's pretty cleared out, which helps a lot. Uh, but there are some other lakes I'll show y'all in future videos. Man, finding a clear spot to bank fish is tough. A lot of places that used to be just shallow open flats that were great for spawning are now covered in trees and brush and shrubs. And unless you have a boat and get out there in it, it makes the fishing almost impossible. You are gonna snag. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And the thing about it is, I still fish those places knowing I'm gonna get snagged up and lose tackle, because in those root systems of those willows and stuff, that's where the fish are at. They will come up in there feeding, and they will lay in them root systems and stuff, waiting to ambush bait fish. I've had a fish I've hooked twice in the same area, and I've got to see him. He's about 30, 35 pounds. That has tangled me up in those root systems and stuff and broke me off at the hook twice. Uh, Fought him for a little bit and get him within probably 30, 40 yards of the bank, and lost him both times. It was very heartbreaking, but it's part of fishing. I know he's in that area. I'll keep going back. And eventually, I'll get him in to where he doesn't get me snagged up. One thing about these lakes here, the Duncan Lake, you don't have a lot of trot lines, jug lines. They only allow them certain times of the year. So most of the time, people don't even come out here and set them anymore. Uh, so you're not have to worry about getting tangled up in trot lines all the time. know a lot of the older gentlemen when I was growing up, they used to do a lot of trot lining and jug lining. And I have in the past when I was younger, I've used trot lines, ran trot lines, limb lines, uh, jugged, fished with jug, even noodled when I was younger. But I love to catch them on rod and reel. I love to feel the fight. It really gets my blood going, especially, man, you hook into a 30-pound flathead and you feel him surge and just the sheer power of that flathead jerking on that rod. And man, it will bring you to life, I promise. You catch one big flathead and you will be hooked for life with it. They just fight like no other. Guys, you don't always have to catch giant fish either. Know what's in your waters. Don't go out there expecting to catch a 50-pounder if they're not even swimming around in that area. You see, I've got some smaller Shakespeare ugly sticks with the Abu Garcia 6500 on them. Those rods are sensitive enough that you hook a 5-pound catfish on them and you got a fight on your hands. I mean, it's fun, it's enjoyable. They don't always have to be big for me to enjoy them. I just love catching and fishing. You can tell that sun's getting lower. It is definitely starting to get cool. Wouldn't be that bad without so much of that north wind blowing. But guys, lake fishing, some of the advice I can give you. A lot of people wonder why I'm on this side of the lake. In lakes, the only current or motion you usually get is the wind, the waves. And as those waves roll in, they will push the bait. So always fish with the waves coming at you. If you're catfishing and you're bank fishing, that wind is your friend. It's going to start moving the bait fishing. Just in the short time I've been here, about an hour, you can tell the birds are starting to work the cove back behind me more because that constant wind is moving all the bait fish. There's a whole bunch of pelicans out here on the side of me. They're kind of hanging out in that deeper water. That deeper water may have been the spot to try today, but I just thought I'd try this shallow. We need some rain. These lakes are down quite a bit. Normally that water is right up here where my rods are at. That's usually our bank line. It's a good, at least a good 3 foot down. Guys, when you're looking at these lakes, if you're going to fish a body of water, you never fished it before, you don't know much about it, or just looking for new spots, check out Navionics. Navionics has maps you can look at, uh, find the depths of water that you want to fish and target, and even if you can get to them. It'll let you know if there's access to deep water from the bank. Navionics is a great tool to have, guys. This wind is definitely getting chilly. I know I'm sure ready for some warmer weather. That water heats up, they'll start moving more and more into the shallow water. The bite will start picking up. They'll start feeding more aggressively. And that's one thing usually right after winter because they've been slow. Their metabolism's been low. Man, when they come out in the spring and stuff, the feed sack is on. They really hammer the baits. They're aggressive. They're trying to bulk back up. And a lot of these big fish in the spring, they bulk up trying to get ready for the spawn. You can catch a lot of nice fish in the spring. I love it when the creeks and stuff come up also, because usually after the creeks flood come up and stay up for 3 times, usually the third time they flood, you'll start seeing the V's and stuff in the water, and that's the carp and stuff coming up out of the river. And usually right behind the carp, you'll start catching the catfish. And big flatheads and blues and stuff will come up out of that river, come up into them creeks, and you can really get on some good ones. Been a slow bite, guys. We knew that when we come out here, but I'm out here. I got the sun shining. This is way better than being locked up in the house. I sure can't catch them at home on the couch. And I don't know about y'all, but I kind of get a little bit claustrophobic. I hate being locked up in the house because of the weather. Can't get out, can't do nothing. This is the first day in weeks I've been able to get out because it's been cold and raining and trying to snow. And what's bad, the rain we got hasn't even been enough to help the lakes or anything out. It's just enough to make everything muddy and nasty and freeze. We don't get much snow in Oklahoma anymore. We are definitely going to need some rain to get these lakes back up. Wintertime is definitely tougher fishing, guys, but that doesn't mean you can't go out and catch fish. You may not catch the numbers like in the spring, but you can catch them. It's towards the end of January already. February is usually our coldest month, our worst month here, and then things will pick up again. So we have almost made it through the winter slump, and things will start picking back up. The bite will pick up. I'm ready for that. I got some more cameras and stuff coming in, guys, to try and get better quality video and audio to help out. So right now, I'm just using my phone to record. Hey, Bank to the Table, how's it going? Guys, Bank to the Table is another good YouTube channel to go check out. Like I say, there's a whole catfish community on YouTube. It's great. There's lots of information and lots of great guys on there. Yeah, Bank to the Table, I had a couple of hours I got out and decided I'd try it. This lake is real close to my house. I can be here in about 15 minutes. So I went and caught me some fresh shad and boogied on over here just to try it. It's still been a nice day out here, guys, even though the fish haven't bit. Like I say, this is still a lot better than being stuck at home on the couch. My poor wife, I think she's had enough of me. She's used to me working all the time. I was working 70 hours a week and got hurt over a year ago, last part of December, right before Christmas. I'm disabled now. So for almost a year, she's been stuck with me at home after being used to me being gone working all the time. Nothing puts stress on a relationship like you being gone all the time and then you're at home all the time. So it's great to kind of get out of the house and give my wife a break anyway. She fished with me a lot, but she's not going to come out here when it's cold and windy like this. Cold and wind, I don't care. I still come out and try it. Like I say, it's a lot better than being stuck at the house. YouTube's helped me a lot because I've been able to sit there and watch guys go out, go fish, learn stuff from them. Even when I couldn't get out of the house, I could watch these guys, and it's like being there fishing with them. It's a lot of fun, great conversation. Uh, Everyone's really nice. You can ask questions, they answer them. It's really helpful. And like I said, I don't even watch TV anymore. I watch all my YouTube family. been a slow day back to the table. I've been out here about an hour and 15 minutes now, and we haven't got a bite yet. But I kind of knew that when I come to this lake, but it was close to the house, like I said, and it got me out of the house. At least I got on the water. I know Muskrat Adventures this morning. Him and Skip are out, and he fishes the Ohio River, and they were doing pretty good this morning. We're giving it a shot, guys. We're just waiting on the fish to cooperate. And that's the thing about wintertime. The bite is slow in the winter. Don't get discouraged and give up. Uh, you're not going to go out there and just kill the fish right away. They're not. They're not going to bite like that, especially from the bank. Uh, in a boat, you can move into their hole and kind of get your bait to the fish. Bank fishing is more of a waiting game. You're having to wait for that fish to get hungry and come up out of that hole, and they got to be searching for food. You got to have active feeding fish. Yeah, back to the table. Late night hasn't done no good here for some reason. I guess because it's all shallow water. Uh, all my luck, all my fish have come during the day. Once that sun goes down, man, it's like flipping a switch. They just go back to the deep holes and they're done. Uh, don't have a lot of places on these bodies of water that are close to me to fish that have the deep hole. Uh, I have a couple of places I can get to the 20-foot range, but that's about as deep as I can get from the bank. I know a lot of guys, even during the day, they've been catching them in 30 to 40 foot of water out there drifting. But I've been catching them up in the shallows, anywhere from 3 to 6 foot of water when the sun's out. And but after that sun goes down, man, it turns into like a ghost town. I went out the other day, took me a big old piece of fresh shad out there, and the spot I love to fish, I got in it. I thought, man, I'm just going to put big baits on there and see if I can get one of these bigger fish to bite. Never got the bigger fish to bite, but I found every snapping turtle in the country over there. They were tearing that fresh shad up. We did end up catching two at that spot. Nothing big, about 5 pounds the biggest, but it was still fish. It was fun. A lot of times it's shallower water, these coves. You get that sun up, and that sun will stay up and starts heating that water up. These little backwater areas like this can become pretty active. And it's like the fish move through in waves. I've been out here and you may sit for an hour and not a bite. And then all of a sudden you got a fish on every rod. You're trying to reel them in and you finally get everything in and you'll catch a couple and then put your rods back out there and it's dead again. You have to wait for the next wave to come through. These fish travel. That's one thing I like about them ugly stick rods, them lighter ugly stick. It does not have to be a giant fish to fold one of them ugly stick poles over. You can catch a 5 to 8 pound on that ugly stick, and it is a blast. It's almost about like fishing with ultralight gear, and that Abu Garcia 6500 will handle the fish no problem. But I like to play with them a little bit. That rods are fun. I get excited when I catch a fish. Doesn't matter how big it is, it can be a small fish. And man, I got a bite and I've got it hooked. I'm excited. I bring my wife out. She's kind of camera shy. She doesn't real sure about getting on the camera, but I got to kind of watch her because she misses a fish or fish takes her bait. She starts talking like a sailor. Her potty mouth kind of comes out, and I would have to do a lot of editing. Yeah, back to the table. I'm going to get some new rods too. Uh, my wife, I just got her in or talked into trying the bait casting reel. Uh, I tried the spinning reels and she hates them. She just does not like using the spinning reels. Uh, all she wanted was the old Zebco push button reel. And I finally talked her into trying some of the bait casters. So I'm looking around and I'm going to check out either like the Piscifun or something that's a cheaper reel to get her and see if she likes it before I go overboard on getting her Abu Garcias and stuff. I thought about just getting Abu Garcias, and then if she didn't like them, I would have extra rods and give me an excuse to buy more rods. But she's pretty smart. She'd be like, "You bought that for you, not for me." So I want to kind of let her do her thing, and then if she likes it, if she wants to try the Abus, I'll let her try the Abu Garcias. Which me, I'm a huge Steve Douglas fan. I've been watching Steve Douglas on YouTube for years, and I like his monster rods. Uh, I like the Muddy River Blue Cat rods. Uh, Chris Flores, he's got some beautiful rods, and those I like because it's a white rod with the blue. It will really stand out at night and stuff. But bank fishing, I like the longer rods. I like the extra length on the rod because it gives me extra casting distance. And on these lakes and stuff, there's lots of shells, and sometimes that extra rod length may get you that extra 3 to 4 foot uh, that will put you on the ledge and put you in the fish. You'd be surprised in a lake, you can have people fishing side by side. One guy's catching fish and one guy's not. They can have the exact same bait, and the only difference is one guy's able to get farther out in the water. He's actually hitting deeper water, and it makes a difference. So, yeah, definitely Abu Garcia with that Muddy River rod. Man, I love the Muddy River rod. That Blue Cat rod, uh, I fell in love with it when I seen it. Chris Flores really outdid himself with that rod. Uh, it's got a solid white rod, got the blue wrapping. The handle is that blue, that EVA foam, but it's also got the white design in it. That rod really stands out. I wish they would make some of these rods in the longer 10-foot versions for the bank fishermen because I really like the extra rods for the casting length. In a boat, it's not that critical. 7'6" rod is plenty, but on the bank, I like to have the longer rods because you can launch them out there. You can send them for a trip. And I'm gonna have to find me some different reels because I'm wanting to buy new rods. And the Abu Garcia 7000 IC3 reels, they were my favorite. And they're not making the IC3s no more. They still make Abu Garcia 7000, and I'm gonna have to look into them because I don't like the ones with the plastic spool. The reason I like these is because they have the aluminum spool, and I really like that. And so I'm gonna search around, and oh, we got a nibble. He didn't take it, but he nibbled at it. Something is pecking at it, guys. And I missed it. Cut shad. We're gonna stick that back out there. He wasn't very aggressive, but he was at least taking it almost like a channel cat. He just nudged at it. Almost went down that bank. I don't want to get on the Golden Whiskers blooper reel, the very first live stream. I'm pretty good size, 230 pounds, and regardless of what people tell you, fat does not bounce. We will make a solid thud. Yeah. Yeah. Abu Garcias, even fishing the river and stuff, man, if you can get parts for them, and if you take care of them, those reels last forever. Uh, I like it because you can get parts for them, and I've never had one let me down. I have caught tons of big fish on these Abu Garcias, and I've never had any problems. About the only thing I've had to do is clean them, and the pawl will wear out on the bottom of the level line. You can order them pawls, clean them, stick the new pawl in there, and they're good to go again. I got so excited I finally had a bite. It's been a while. I should have let that rod sit there, wait for that fish to try and take that bait and load up that rod on that circle hook. But he was sitting there pecking and I was holding it and I got a little excited and jumped the gun. That was my fault. He bit like a little channel cat though. A lot of the blue cats up here, uh, especially different lakes you get, and some of the silver cats, they won't do that peck peck like a channel cat does. They will slam that rod down, and if you don't have a good pole holder, they will be gone with your rod and reel. Good pole holders are essential for bank fishing. I'm old. I'm not as quick and fast as I used to be, and I need to know that that's going to hold my rod until I get to it. Because I've had them come by and no pecking, no biting at all. They would just slam it. You're a Shakespeare rod guy. I never have used the Shakespeare's much. Uh, I do like the Shakespeare ugly sticks. I got into them years and years ago. Uh, for the lakes and stuff, they work great. But these little 7'6" Shakespeare I got with the glow tip, in the creeks. When the creeks flood, this tip on them is so soft. Uh, you can sit there and watch it in the current, and they're not great for a lot of current. Now, the bigger ugly sticks that are actually catfish rods, uh, they may be a little bit stiffer on the tip, but I've had these for years, and like I say, I've caught 30 and 40 pound fish on these. It's just the tips are super sensitive in the creek. Oh, you almost lost your 9 foot rod. Yeah, if you're not careful. I've seen guys out there fishing on the rivers and stuff, and they'll have them propped up on a stick, and man, that fish will hit, and it's off in the water, and next thing you know, they're diving off in that river chasing that rod. You know, you can lose a lot of money in these rods. Uh, you know, you pay $180 for your reel, and you pay another $100 for your rod. Then you spool it with your line, put your sinker and your hook on it. You can get money in these pretty quick, and I'm not trying to let them fly off into the water. Now I did. I went out and bought a brand new Abu Garcia 6500 wide spool, and bought me a rod, and I went to the creek, and the creeks were flooded, and they were just boiling water, and all the fish out of the river were coming up the creek, and I was catching big catfish. I bought this new rod, got all excited, and got out there, and I caught a fish on it, reeled it in, and didn't wipe my hands off. I was all excited, released my fish, I rebaited, and I had that fish slime all over my hands still. I grabbed that rod and I went to cast it out. And when I did, I sent that thing flying like a javelin. And I could just watch it go into the air, sinker and all. And I caught one fish off of it, throwed it in that creek. That thing ended up in Red River. It was gone. But man, it turned my stomach. I got to catch one fish on it and I sent it flying. I have had bloopers. I've been out crappie fishing and stuff at night, and I went to cast out and hook the lantern, throw my propane lantern in the water. Uh, I'm not perfect. I do make some mistakes. I had my wife and second to the oldest daughter and my grandkids, her husband out fishing, and I was actually on this lake on the other side, and I was teaching her to throw a spinning rod, and she throwed it, got it all twisted up. The line tangled it, and being daddy, I get out there and I'm like, let me show you how to do it. And I grabbed a rod and I opened the bell and I went to cast out and I stepped and I went right off the bank, about waist deep in the water. I did a bloop, and that water was cold. I had to get back out of there, but all I could do was laugh. They're like, "You okay?" I was like, "Yeah, ain't nothing hurt on me except my pride." And that was one of them watch this moments. It happens though. I remember when I was a teenager, my uncle always took me fishing when I was little. That's how I got involved in fishing. I learned, and he took me out fishing. It was raining, and he had his rod propped up, and we're sitting in the pickup, and this fish hits his rod, and it takes off like a jet rocket up into the air, comes down. My uncle was about 6'4", but he wasn't very big around, long and lengthy. He jumped out of that truck. I think he made about 3 steps dove off into that water, and there was a stump under the water, and it took the hide off of his shin from about the ankle almost all the way up to his knee. He fought this fish, and we were all excited, and thought he had about a 30 to 40 pound catfish. And he fought this fish, fought this fish, and got it in, and it turned out to be a big old carp. And he taught me when I was young, man, a good pole holder makes all the difference. He's passed away now, but I tell you what, I still got all the memories from the time I was a little bitty boy going with him. He's the one that taught me how to swim. A lot of people would call it mean or cruel now, but took me out in the middle of the lake. I was little, and chunked me out in that water. He was like swim or drowned, and you'd be surprised how quick you learn to swim. But he he taught me how to fish, and I was able to carry the tradition on and teach my kids. And now I'm blessed enough to be teaching my grandkids. And fishing is not just a sport, guys. It's a way of life. It's a great experience. You get to bring you and your family together. Uh, I like to take mine out camping just on the lake bank somewhere. And man, you're cooking outside, you're out under the stars, you're spending time with each other instead of a TV screen and video games. It's a great way to bond. And all those memories I have of my uncle from just being knee high to a grasshopper, even though he passed away, them memories are still here. No one can ever take that from me. And that's what I do with my kids. They're all grown now and they're starting to have babies of their own. And now they're getting to share with their kids the things that I taught them. And that's what it's about. Uh, it's a legacy. You leave it behind. Uh, this is a great resource and a great way to uh, spend time with family. Maybe that little fish will come back. Yeah, that's the old school way of teaching. That's right, bank to the table. I learned. If you were to do that today, man, they would have a fit. But that's just the way it was. We rode bikes with no helmets, uh, rode in the back of the pickup truck. Uh, these kids nowadays, there's so many laws and regulations. They will never get to do half the stuff we did as kids. And man, we survived it all. Yeah, that's awesome. Bank to the table. I carry a little grill with me. I just bought a little tripod grill that I can take out there. And some of the lakes we go to, they've got barbecue grills already set up at each spot, and some of them don't. And I go to a lot of the primitive areas where people don't normally go in there to camp because the fishing. And we'll go in there, and I'll take the grill and stuff. And even when my kids were little, I had a inflatable air mattress that I would keep in the bed of my truck, and we'd be out there camping and stuff, and we'd be fishing. And when the kids would get tired, I just stick them up on that air mattress in the back of the truck. They would be out. There's something about the outside, being outdoors and cooking. It doesn't matter what you make outside on that open fire. It always tastes better than it does if you cook it at home. Uh, we used to always go to the lake and I had cast iron cookware that was just for the lake. And man, you could go out there and make breakfast and your eggs, your bacon, fried potatoes in the morning. Even had a percolating coffee pot you could set on the fire. And man, those were the days. That was the life. Everything tasted so much better out there. And I enjoy doing that with my family and my kids. Now my grandbabies. Last time we took my oldest granddaughter out, uh, there's this little creek we go to, and it's full of bluegill. And my wife loves to go out there, and she'll catch them bluegill, and I'll use them for bait. And so I go out there with her, and we take our oldest granddaughter, and uh, we move down to the sandbar, and we're sitting there, and I've got my granddaughter, her little chair and stuff, sitting there, and my wife's fishing, and she's catching these perch and stuff. And my oldest granddaughter, she falls off her chair like and goes head first like an ostrich in the sand and just face plants. And about that time, my wife hooks this bluegill, and she's fighting it. And my granddaughter finally gets up, and my wife swings that bluegill, and it goes right by her face. And it was so hilarious because all my granddaughter seen was that fish in her face, and she had sand all up in her eyebrows and her hair. And the only thing she'd say is she's like, "Oppo," she's like, "I almost kissed it." And she wasn't worried about being covered in sand or nothing else. All she seen was herself kissing that fish. It was hilarious. That wind finally laid down. I don't know if y'all can tell by seeing the just the waves on the lake. It has completely died, which is good. There's still a little bit of wind, but it's not blowing like it was. And that bite I had, it was on one of the shallower rods. I've got two out deep and two up closer to the bank. I kind of stagger my rods. That way I kind of got an idea of what lanes the fish are traveling in, just trying to locate them. And the bite I did have was up close. Which I was glad to get that bite, but I hope something bigger comes along, something a little more aggressive. These lakes could be such awesome fisheries if they'd take care of them. You got plenty of cover with the rocks and all the standing timber and stuff. You got deep water, you got shallow water. I mean, these lakes really have it all if they just take the time to take care of them again. Like I say, when I was a younger boy, uh, these used to be awesome fisheries. You could come out here, uh, Duncan Lake especially. It was known for its catfish. Uh, you could tear them up, and they just the guy that was taking care of them just didn't care and let them go for so long that now they've got a new guy taking care of them, and he's kind of having to play catch up. But they put in the time and they put in the effort. 5 to 6 years from now, these fisheries could be booming again, which would be great for all the local community. It's always nice to have a body of water that you can go fish close to home. I like the lakes and the rivers, the creeks when the creeks flood. I don't do a whole lot of pond fishing. Uh, we do have some that we can go to, but I know my wife likes to go to the pond sometimes. A lot of these, a lot of your ponds, I used to fish when I was younger. When I was a boy, bass fished a lot, crappie fished a lot, and man, you can get to some of these ponds and stuff that these guys had, and they were loaded with big fish. Got a few of the birds out here fishing again. Wish that wind would have been like this all day. It finally laid down some. They still got all the windmills going. You can see all the windmills over the backside of the lake. One thing about Oklahoma, we got lots of wind and they're taking advantage of it. They started putting these windmill farms up everywhere, uh, generating untold amounts of electricity. I'm really excited this year. I plan to do some traveling, go to some different states, try different bodies of water, and man, I'd really like to do some bank fishing on the big rivers. Uh, I see guys fishing on the James and uh, you know, the Ohio River, the Mississippi River, Tennessee River would be some good ones. Uh, I would definitely like to try some of them places out this year. One thing I like about the rivers is in lakes, you do have your bigger catfish. Uh, like there's lakes around here that I fished that have fish over 100 pounds in them, but you don't have the numbers of big fish like you do in the rivers. Your rivers and stuff, uh, there's a lot of big fish moving around that swim through, and they travel up and down them rivers. I think that rod just got bumped again. Had some geese fly in too. They're starting to come back in this cove. Come on, fishy. Guys, don't get discouraged in the wintertime either. It's a patience game. It is a slow bite. Uh, we had that one bite, but all it takes is that one fish. You may be sitting here and nothing be happening. Then all of a sudden, one of them rods will just fold. Uh, it's nice. You moving to Texas back to the table? What part of Texas? They have some good lakes down there. Lake Texoma, Lake Lavon. Lavon's down around the Dallas area. Uh, Lake Texoma's nice. I'm not that far from Texas. About a 45-minute drive, and I can be in Texas. Probably about 25 minutes if I let my wife drive. My wife knows two speeds. That's wide open and stop. Lake Tawakoni down there. That's another good lake. Houston, you'll have some good lakes. You'll have some good lakes around there you can fish. Lakes that have big catfish in them also. It's always nice to have waters. You can go out and catch 40 to 60 pound fish in. One thing about Texas too, the CPR has really took off a lot. Uh, you'll notice a lot more people are releasing these big fish, and that's great for the fishing industry. Uh, you will start seeing fisheries come back to life. You'll start seeing a lot more trophy quality fish, just for the simple fact guys are releasing these big ones. They're letting them breed. They're not killing them out anymore. I had one vehicle go by finally. I've been out here almost 2 hours, and that's the first sign of civilization I've seen. Guys, I cannot stress how important it is to a fishery, the lakes, the rivers, to let the bigger fish go and let them breed. There are plenty of eater sized fish to eat, uh, and I'm okay with that. Uh, the big ones, I like to let the big ones go so they can breed. It takes a long time for a fish to reach 60 pounds, and he survived that long. I don't want to be the one to end his life. Well, I got more than what I expected today. I really didn't expect to get a whole lot, but that one fish did bite. He's pecking at it again, uh, which is more than what I was expecting. Cold, north wind, I wasn't expecting a whole lot. But I definitely got some little dinks over here playing with it. You let 245 plus go back? Yeah. I have fun, and I like letting the big ones go. And main thing is, when you let them big ones go, you know they're going to be there for someone else to catch. That feeling you have in that moment when that fish folds that pole over and your body starts pumping that adrenaline and you fight that fish in, and that joy and that overwhelming sensation that comes over you, uh, when you turn that fish loose and you let it grow, someone else is going to get the opportunity to experience that exact same feeling, and that is priceless. And people don't think about it. A 10 to 12 pound catfish may not be a trophy to a lot of people, but in a lot of waters, 10 to 12 pounds is a trophy sized fish. And you take a young child out, a small kid, and you get that kid and he hooks into a 10 to 12 pound catfish, and he fights that, or she, and they fight it, and they bring that to the bank, you have just made a memory for a lifetime. That is something that child will never, ever in their lifetime forget. I get so excited watching other people catch fish. It's not just about me catching fish. Uh, my wife, my kids, people that I meet out at the lake. I've met people out fishing and just started a conversation with them. And when me and my wife first got together, she was like, "Do you know them?" I said, "No." She's like, "Well, why did you just talk to them like that?" I said, "They're just people just like me, and I've got to know a lot of people just by talking." And I'll watch them fish. I'll try and help them share information. Uh, I'm not one of them guys that tries to keep my spot hid so other people don't fish it and stuff. Uh, I want you to come out and catch fish. That's what I'm doing. I'll show you my spot. I'll show you the bait, how I got it rigged. Uh, I don't have no secrets. I want everyone to experience the joy of catching fish. Your youngest daughter's personal best, 12-pound blue. Yeah, and you know that's priceless. To watch her, especially as a father, you stand there and you watch her reel that fish in, and your emotions are going, and you're just as excited, or maybe even more excited than she is. And that's a memory both of y'all have from now on. I love it, and I got my wife into fishing, and she loves to fish. Uh, like she's kind of like Roger's wife, Muskrat Adventures, Janice DeMitt. Uh, Man, if that fish bites and you're in the way, she will mow you over to get to that rod. Uh, she just loves fishing. Yeah, back to the table. I like to eat fish too. Uh, if I'm going to eat fish, I usually go out and catch them fresh. I don't keep fish stocked in my freezer or anything uh, because I can go out and catch them. I know a lot of guys stock their freezers with fish. I don't. Uh, I do the same thing with bait. I know a lot of guys that uh, freeze a lot of shad and stuff. I don't. I'll go out and catch it fresh. Uh, I do have some in my freezer that's frozen shad, uh, and I keep that for the days that I'm not able to get shad. You could get your wife to go out fishing with you. Yeah, back to the table. It gives you a chance, and a lot of the times today, couples don't spend that much time together. uh, Work and life and stuff gets in the way. Uh, People all the time you hear them say, well, they fell out of love. It's not they fell out of love, they fell out of contact with each other. Hi, Miss Becca. When you don't spend time together, uh, you kind of got one person doing their thing and one person doing their thing. It's two separate people, two separate agendas. Fishing is a way to bring that together. Uh, I love when people come fishing with me, uh, be it my wife, people I know, just friends, family. Uh, it's great if you can get your wife and your family out on the water to fish with you, uh, especially if they love it. If they love to fish, uh, it's such a bonding experience. Uh, it's just awesome. How are you feeling, Miss Becca? Glad to see you in here. Becca, aka the Mud Tramp, she does so much for the catfish community. Uh, she supports everyone. She is a real blessing to all of us. Uh, Guys, when you see this, uh, go on YouTube and look up her channel and subscribe, especially if you like food. Uh, Becca likes to cook. I'm a fat boy. I like to eat. Uh, but go like and subscribe to her channel and watch the new content she puts out. Uh, like I say, she's such a blessing to everyone in our fishing community. Let's try and show support for her back. I always fish more than my ex-husband. Yeah, Becca. When I was younger, my kid's mother, when I got married, she was not into fishing. So me and the kids would go fish all the time by ourselves. Uh, to me, fishing is more fun when you have someone to share it with. You know, that's like today. I'm out here by myself. This lake is empty. I basically got it to myself. If I catch a 30 pounder, I'm going to be excited, but at least I got the YouTube audience I can share that with. When you fish by yourself and you do accomplish something like that, you look around, there's no one there to share it with. Life is not a spectator sport. It's always better to have someone to share those moments with. And back to the table, I hope your wife has a change of heart and starts going fishing with you, because that's a great time to bond and share time and experiences with each other. Becca, I mean every word of it. You are a true blessing to the catfish community. I meant every word of it. I get up and running, Becca, and get everything set up after I get these lives and stuff going. If you're interested, I'm really going to need moderators and stuff on my channel, and I would love to have you as one. Yeah, back to the table. Just get her to go, and maybe the more times out there, the more she'll get to enjoy it. Little stuff like camping and stuff. Stay out there over the weekend and stuff. Time around the campfire, sitting out under the stars at night. I'm an old romantic, so you get me out in front of that campfire late at night, the moon and the stars are shining, man, I'm happy. Uh, so maybe if you get her out there and show her the other things that go along with it. And to me, when I'm outside, either hunting and fishing, uh, it's just as much spiritual as it is physical. When I'm out here in the open like this, I am closer to God at this point in time than I am at any other time. Uh, you just look around, you're surrounded by everything. The flowers, the trees, the birds, especially in the spring, you watch everything come to life. Man, it's hard not to be excited about that. She loves blue crabs. That's about it. But I go blue crabbing too fast and eat. Yeah, yeah. I'm a seafood guy. I can eat some crab too. I don't blame her there. I could probably eat my body weight in shrimp. But I love to fish. And like I say, we do cooked fish. I use a Louisiana fish fry, and I make homemade French fries. I don't buy store bought. My kids have never ate a frozen French fry or instant mashed potatoes in their life. I make everything from scratch, and I'll get some ranch dip. They sell the ranch dip in the packets, and if you get the kind you mix with mayonnaise, not the sour cream, you make that ranch dip to dip them French fries in, and make some coleslaw and some fresh hush puppies. My gosh, it's good. A lot of people didn't know about that ranch dip, and I've got people started on that ranch dip, and I have got them hooked. Even my tartar sauce, I don't go buy tartar sauce from the store. I make it at home. Yeah, the otters and the beavers. We have them down here on these lakes. You'll see them beavers, and man, you'll see them beavers go by, especially night fishing. Everyone's like, "What is that?" I'm like, "It's a beaver." Next thing you can do is show her a person excitement in between time. Yeah, building a fire and stuff. That's an awesome way. And man, I love to cook outdoors. Open flame. Uh, you can buy them oven racks pretty cheap at the dollar store. Uh, we'll make a fire pit and get some wood and start a fire and cook out on that open flame and stuff. And man, it's awesome. I don't know what it is about being outside, but everything tastes better. Wake up early the next morning. You got breakfast out on the campfire, fresh coffee, bacon, eggs, sausage. Uh, Take a Dutch oven. You can make fresh biscuits out there, and man, it's awesome. The best thing you can show her. Yeah. Making some soil now with your old bait fish so you can start growing. That's awesome. Bank to the table. Sorry I messed that one fish up for you earlier. I kind of got excited. It's been a while since I had a fish on the end of the rod. I go through withdrawals. Man, if I go 2 weeks and I'm not able to fish, I will go through DTs like a drug addict. I cannot help it. And if I'm not fishing, I'm sitting at home watching everyone on YouTube fish. My wife will get mad. She's like, "We're paying $180 for satellite. You don't even watch it." She said, "What am I paying the bill for?" I said, "Football season." That's like me. I'm so bad. A lot of times we'll have multiple live streams going on, and I'll have one on the TV, one on my phone, one on my laptop, uh, and I'm listening to all three of them at the same time. Yeah, it's a great idea. Uh, it's just like little kids. You have to keep them interested in the fishing. You have to make it interesting for them. A lot of the guys, when they take the youngsters out fishing, uh, they get way too serious. Uh, you know, you're not going to take a 2 or 3 year old child out there and expect them to be quiet, sit down, sit still, don't mess with nothing. If you do, you're just fooling yourself. You've never had children or any experience with them because that's not how little kids go. You've got to keep them entertained. Uh, they've got to have something to do, and let the fishing be fun for them. Don't take the fun and excitement out of it for them. I mean, if fishing wasn't exciting to you, you wouldn't want to go do it. Don't take the fun and enjoyment out of it for the kids. Oh, another bite, guys. Come on. He missed him again, guys. He is just slowly sitting down there, pecking at that. He's about pecked that whole piece of shad off of there. I'm fixing to put a fresh piece of bait on and go back after that little guy. I know he's having a hard time getting it in his mouth, but I'm trying it. Hey there, Uncle Josh. I think that fish is just too small to get that bait in his mouth. So I downsized with the smaller piece of shad. I missed him twice. We're going to try that and see if it helps. Downsize that bait a lot and see if that helps. A lot of times, a lot of guys will downsize their hook as well. I know like Dieter Melhorn, he uses a smaller circle hook. I don't. 8/0 circle hook is the smallest hook I got. I usually don't go any smaller than an 8/0 just because you never know what fish is going to hit. You may catch a 2-pound fish and it may be a 50 or a 60-pound fish. Some of the lakes I fish, I know there are fish over 100 pounds, and I don't want to hook into one and my hook be too small. But I love fishing. It doesn't matter if they're big or small. I love to catch them. These Duncan Lakes that I'm on right now, you can't throw a cast net, but you can catch the shad on rod and reel. So I have a rod and reel out, and I go on there, and I've got ultralight tackle with the crappie jig, and you're catching 14 and 16-inch shad on that ultralight. And I tell you what, it is a fight. It is a blast. So I have as much fun sometimes catching bait as I actually do fishing. You can catch a 1-pound channel cat on that 8/0. Yeah, I think that's what I got messing with me here, Uncle Josh. He's pecked it a couple of times. I missed him one time before that, and he's putting pressure on it, but he's not really folding the rod. He's not loading it up. I tried to reel down on him then, and I felt a little bit, but as soon as I put a little bit more pressure on him, I felt him turn it loose. I think he's hitting so far back on the bait, he's not even getting the hook. I think he's getting that bait in his mouth and kind of pulling on the bait and not the hook. I don't like the ones that sit there and deck the bait. Channel cats are famous for that. That's one of the reasons I like the blues. Uh, I like them to slam it like that. I've had some I've had some 40 and 50-pound flatheads that would come out and play with the bait like that. Uh, they'd sit there and just play with it, and you'd swear it was a small fish, and it might sit there and look like he's just dink tapping it for 15 or 20 minutes before you'll actually just see the line start swimming off. They'll never like load up the rod. But I think that one there is a small little channel cat. This lake does have a good rock bottom. Lots of standing timber in it. Lots of cover. And even though you don't hear about it anymore, there still could be a big one swimming out here. Which I've already had them 2 bites, which is more than I was expecting. But it's close to the house. Like I say, 15 minutes from the house, I can be on the water. Areas that I normally fish, I wouldn't have had enough time to make it over there and get any kind of fishing in. So, day on the water is better than a day sitting at home on the couch. Uncle Josh, how are you feeling? Are you getting around a little better yet? Guys, if you're watching this video, see Uncle Josh, the One Ton Fishing Club, man, definitely go check out their channel. Uncle Josh is kind of down right now, but he is getting better, and Art and them are still going out. And I believe today I was watching them on Kerr Lake or Bugs Island, depending on who you ask. And him and Tom are out there fishing. And guys, they're a lot of fun to watch. That's on one of my go-to lists this year. I want to get out, stop by, get in touch with Art on Facebook, and get to fish with them. It'll be a blast. But go check out the One Ton Fishing Club. Subscribe to their channel. Y'all guys will have a blast watching them. Uncle Josh, I hope you recover, goes good, and I'm ready to see you get back out there and teach them how to fish. Be time to take them back to school when you get out there. Art was fishing with Tom. Y'all can check him out. Go to LG Bass on YouTube. Check him out. He's another good one to watch. There's a lot of great YouTube channels out there, guys. I promise you, if you go look up some of these guys' channels, start watching them, and they post links in the discussions. And check out these links and subscribe to them. It's free. It doesn't cost anything. Then go back and watch them. If you don't like them, you can unsubscribe, but go ahead and subscribe to them and check out their videos and the knowledge they're sharing. I promise you won't be disappointed. It is such a great community, and everyone is so helpful. Uh, the knowledge everyone shares, there's no way you won't become a better fisherman. Everyone shares their information and different techniques. The way I rig mine, lines and my sinkers, may not be the way someone else rigged them. And both of them may catch fish in different situations, different scenarios. Uh, Bank fishing guys, if you watch a lot of the river guys like Muskrat Adventures and them, uh, they will teach you tools that you can use on the lakes that they use on the rivers without the electronics and stuff. They teach you how to look at the shoreline and read the shoreline and stuff. Uh, Current breaks, you still have them in the lakes. Anything that breaks the current, places to look for these catfish where they hold up. You can learn a lot from these guys, and if y'all try it, I know y'all will fall in love with it. The catfish community on YouTube is one of the greatest there is. Uh, there is so much love, and everyone helps each other. Later on, I'll get moderators added to the channel, and I'll figure out how to get some of the links to these channels up to where you guys can find them with ease. Because, like I say, I don't even watch TV no more. My satellite TV and stuff is basically to watch football. Uh, if I'm home, I'm watching YouTube. There's somebody on. There's great Catfish Weekly. Now we got Panfish Weekly coming out. Lau, he does great. They have guests on discussing issues, tackle, equipment, different techniques. Mark, Catfish and Crappie, another great one. Norm, they have the bait shop, Fishing with Chad. There are a lot of great channels out there and so much information. It's an information highway, guys. They have guests come on. We ask questions, try and learn from them. If you're looking into what gear to get, Hatu Stands, guys, there's 2 stands. That's another one to go check out. They do a lot of fishing and on the James River, and it's a blast to watch. So check 2 stands out. But like I was saying, guys, they do rod reviews. They do reel reviews. If you're into different equipment stuff, everyone kind of gives an unbiased opinion, so you know kind of what to buy before you go out. It's a great information highway. 2 Stands is like us. One time they're bank fishermen, and he's on the James River. That James River has some monster fish up there with 2 Stands. They go out and man, when the bite's on, they can absolutely hammer the fish, and they're big fish. Yeah, 2 Stands. I'm trying to figure that out about turning the phone sideways to make the picture bigger. Last time I tried that, it had the Country Boy catfishing at the bottom of the screen. It had it running through the picture. I'm trying to figure this out. I'm also ordered some other cameras to try and get a wider screen to improve the video quality. But guys, Stan, Uncle Josh, y'all guys, if y'all have any suggestions or tips, man, I am open to it. Shoot me a message. I am more than willing to listen to suggestions because I am learning this YouTube deal. We didn't have all this technology when I was growing up. I am redneck. I've got a smartphone, but I know how to text on it and I know how to talk on it. All that other stuff, I have not figured out. My kids know more about the phones and stuff than I do. Buddy story, a couple years back, I started a new job in Oklahoma City. And part of my job is I had to start sending emails to everybody, uh, updates and uh, letting them know where we were in the process, what needed to be done. And until that time, about 4 years ago, I guess it was, I had never sent anybody an email. I had to try and figure out how to do emails. Thank you, Stan. I appreciate you. Uh, yeah, my granddaughter knows more about technology at 3 than I do. She'll get a hold of the remotes and go to surfing through that YouTube and stuff, and I still haven't figured it all out, but I'm learning. Uncle Josh and Stan, uh, when I get done and I post this, I'm definitely going to need moderators on my channel. You guys don't know, I would definitely like to have y'all as moderators, and y'all can kind of teach me as we go. Yeah, I'm not ashamed to say that my grandkids know more about these phones and technology than I do. You know, back in my day, y'all remember when it switched from 8 tracks to cassette and we thought we were living? We basically went from records to 45s to 8 tracks cassettes. And man, first cassette player, then Walkmans and stuff. If you had a Walkman, you was uptown. You was doing good. Technology sure came a long way. Like my kids, I don't think they've ever seen a dial telephone in their life. You know, and payphones, they're a thing of the past. Used to, you could find a payphone anywhere, not anymore. That's funny, Stan. Uh, I drive my wife and my daughters and stuff nuts. Uh, I didn't know how to lock my phone when I first got it, and I was real bad about just having it in my pocket. And man, it would push buttons, and my phone would be doing stuff that I had no idea what it was doing, and I did not know how to stop it. And I would get them, and I mean, my phone would get to the point it would actually crash. And they're like, "Well, what did you do?" And I was like, "Well, if I knew what I did, I wouldn't be getting you to fix it." I said, "I have no idea what it did." And they would laugh, and That's like my laptop and stuff. It's touchscreen and it's got the pad on the bottom of it. I cannot do it. My hands are big. I have to have that mouse and move that mouse around. My big old fingers are not made for those little bitty buttons. It does not function well that way. All this modern technology, and I got that little mouse plugged in the side of it to where I can scroll and click. That's like Google and stuff on the phone. Man, it helps me out none because my fingers are so big. I'll be trying to type something in or go to do something, and I'll hit a different button, and it will take me somewhere I didn't even want to go. Yeah, Stan, black and white TV, UHF and VHF. You'd have to switch it, and then once you got the channel, you'd have to sit there and tune the dial and get it tuned in just right. Yeah, Uncle Josh and Stan, y'all are old enough. Y'all remember the drive-in movies? Man, that was the thing. Load up in the car, hide 3 or 4 in the trunk, and head to the drive-in movie. Them drive-in movies used to be the highlight of the weekend. I had to roll the car window down. That's when the vehicles had crank windows. It was not all power. You had to crank the window down, get the little speaker box on it, hang it on, crank it back up. Man, the good drive-ins used to have car hops, and you could order, and they'd come out and hang it on the side of the car door. Had your little tray. Technology's come a long way, guys, but I think life was so much simpler back then. Just a more honest, pure way of life. Shove the smaller ones in the trunk. Yes, they have. I miss those days. Out of all 4 rods, that one rod is the only one they've dinked and messed with. And it's closer to the bank. I kind of staggered them, different depth, throwing them out, which I've got cut shad on all of them. Yeah, work was harder, but Uncle Josh, back then people treated each other better. Uh, man, you didn't have to keep your car locked and your house locked. Everybody knew everybody. Uh, I miss the days. Y'all remember the neighborhood cookouts? Uh, you come home from church on Sunday, everyone would get together, have a cookout, play football and stuff in the backyard. Uh, everybody knew everybody. Uh, people just had a higher level of respect for each other. and it was some great times. You know, you can't even go to the Walmart now, and they come out there, and I actually had them steal the spare tire out from under my pickup, uh, cut the lock with the torch, and took my spare tire while I was in the Walmart. Times have definitely changed. Got to be careful. Anymore, you stand still long enough, they'll steal the drawers right off of you if you ain't careful. It's getting cold, but I'm going to give it a little bit longer. I've been out here about 2.5 hours. Usually at night, once the sun goes down here in the shallow water, they're done. We already got the moon up, but when the sun's up and it warms that water up in the shallow water, I can get them to bite. But after that sun goes down, they don't really like it. Yeah, work was definitely harder back then. I grew up in the country all my life around the farms and stuff. So, man, one of the first vehicles I learned to drive was the hay truck. We'd be out there hauling hay. Now you're lucky if you can find people that can drive the standard, but hay truck's the first thing I learned to drive. And I was excited to learn to drive the hay truck because when I was driving, I wasn't having to buck the hay up and load it. Thank you, Stan, for sharing it out. I will get better at it. I tried Streamlabs, and it was kind of giving me some trouble, so I just went over to StreamYard, and I had no problems with it. I know with the StreamYard, it only gives you 20 hours a month free, and so I'm either going to have to buy the subscription or figure out Streamlabs too and kind of go between the two of them. Because unless something bad's wrong, I plan on fishing more than 20 hours a month. When I go, I like to spend all day out there fishing. Thank you, Uncle Josh. Man, that was so nice of the Flatty Daddies to take Haz out in the boat the other day. That was such a good gesture. Guys, that's 2 other channels. Check out Haz Live, Fishing Magician, and the Flatty Daddies. They're all up in the DC area. DMV Whisker Kings is another one. The Baltimore Angler. They all fish spots on the same rivers and the same area. They're a real great group of guys to watch. Like I say, Has and them are bank fishermen. I'm trying, fishing magician. Uh, Has and them are bank fishers too, and he was out there fishing and wasn't having no luck. And the Flatty Daddies was out there in his boat. He pulled up and picked Has up, and that was awful nice. That's just the type of people that are in this fishing community, guys. Everyone helps each other. Uh, Fishing magician there, 2.0 Mark, man, he's on that Potomac River up there with Chunky Cats, and man, he has nailed some fish. He has caught some monsters from the bank. Uh, there's catfish and crappie. Hi, Mark. Uh, Chunky Cats. Man, if you want to see a live stream, you've got to watch Chunky Cats. He's got neon signs, neon rod and reels. Uh, he is awesome to watch. He's just a blast. Uh, I'm trying to get my wife some new rods and reels, and she watched the Chunky Cats, and she wants to do her rods fluorescent, and I'm like, man, I hate to pay $100 for a rod and paint it fluorescent, but she is hooked on them fluorescent rods. Yeah, Mark, now you know what I look like. Just a big old rough country boy. For those of y'all that are just joining, I did have a little dink bite a couple of times. Missed him, didn't get set up on him. So I brought the bait in and I downsized it because I think he was hitting the backside of the bait beyond the hook, and just wasn't getting the hook in his mouth. But guys, Chunky, the Baltimore Angler, DMV Whisker Kings, Fishing Magician 2.0, Has and them, they are all a blast to watch. The last two live streams, Mark and them sat out there. Fishing Magician, it was rough, cold, but they stuck with it and stuck with it. And the last live stream, it was almost 5 hours before the fish bit, and Mark landed it, and it was 20 something pounds, if I remember right. And it just goes to show you patience. They sat there that whole time and nothing was happening, and out of a sudden, just bam. Nice to see you back, Becca. Yeah, Magician, this is a great fishing community. The YouTube fishing community is one of the best families you could probably ever have. Everyone supports everybody. It's a great group. There is so much knowledge that is shared out there. When I first got into YouTube, the first one I seen was Steve Douglas, the Catfish Man, and I got to watching Steve, and I fell in love with it. I watched him for years, and then I started catching other people would pop up on my feed and started subscribing, and I try and subscribe and watch everybody and help support everybody because there is so much knowledge. Catfish and crappie, they have a show on, and they'll have guests on, and they discuss all different topics on gear, tactics, different spots to fish different times a year. Lyle, Catfish Weekly, he has one that has people on and guests. He's also started Panfish Weekly. I think that show is going to kick off with great success. There is so much knowledge out here on YouTube. If you'll just look into it and take the time. So much knowledge. Got a lot of the older guys, they call them OGs. that have been doing this forever. The knowledge, people like Doc Lane, uh, Panfish Weekly, uh, their show coming up, they're going to have Babe Winkleman on there. Uh, if you don't know who Babe Winkleman is, you have truly missed out. He is a legend, and I'm excited to see that show. Uh, there's so much knowledge. Epic Catfishing is another one. Guys, you want to check out Epic? That's another one with just tons and tons of all knowledge to share. And a lot of these guys may not fish the same areas as you, but that's okay because you can still learn from them. Yeah, that's what it's about, Bank to the Table. You share that knowledge, increase your hookup ratios, uh, just like circle hooks. I am new to circle hooks. I'd always used J hooks, and I got to watching people using them, like Steve Douglas and everybody, and I thought, man, I'm gonna try them because I don't know how many times I've been out bank fishing, and I'd go to throw one rod out, and the fish would hit the other rod. By the time I got over to him, I'd miss it, and I spent more time just changing bait out. And a lot of times in the spring and the summer, I would wade out waist deep in the water, throw my rod out, and then come back to the bank to get that extra distance. And never fails, while I was out in the water, one had always hit. Well, with these circle hooks, if it hits that rod and he loads it up, he will hook himself. And I miss a lot less fish like that. And you don't get them deep hook. You don't gut hook them. It's a lot easier. It pulls that hook to the corner of the mouth. You can release the fish a lot easier without hurting the fish. You know, and there's so much to learn, guys, from these other channels. Uh, different types of simple stuff like line. What brand line are they using? What weight? Uh, Mono versus braid advantages, disadvantages. This is stuff you can learn and not have to go out and spend a bunch of money trying to figure it out on your own. And this catfish community on YouTube, it's like none you've ever seen. It is a great family. Uh, they're a lot of fun to watch, very knowledgeable. Well, that sun has went down and it is starting to cool off. And I'll get more set up later, guys. I'll have my moderators and stuff set and get to where I can start kicking out more content. And I'm probably going to do a lot of live. It's easier for me to do the live streams than it is to go back and try and figure out how to edit. So I really like the live streams. Plus, I get to interact with everybody. You know, when we were kids growing up, you know, watching Roland Martin and Jimmy Houston and them all on TV, Babe, you didn't have the opportunity to communicate with them during the show. And with the live feeds, you can communicate back and forth. Thank you, Stan. Guys, in the community, there are different guys. There are some guys that only catfish and that's all they do, and that's okay. There's guys that catch crappie, bluegill, and all you crappie guys out there, uh, I definitely watch them because in catfishing, uh, especially flathead, live bait during the summer and the spring is essential. Uh, and even crappie, if you want to catch crappie, I'm not very good with the jigs and the jig fishing that these guys do. But if I can watch them and learn from them, it's going to up my game and help me be more confident in my abilities to go out and catch the bluegill and the crappie and stuff on jig. So even though they may be out crappie fishing, that does not mean you can't learn from them. There are a lot of lakes around here for I fish for anything. My channel is named after my favorites. Yeah, Mark, catfish and crappie. Uh, man, catching panfish can be fun. You get into the big bluegill and the brim and the crappie, and you're out there with ultralight gear and stuff. Man, I'm telling you, it's a blast. I'm not gonna lie, and I love to eat crappie. Uh, I will eat catfish. Uh, I don't keep anything big. I don't eat catfish a lot. I will turn on most of my fish loose. Uh, I don't keep my freezer stocked up. When I'm ready to eat fish, I'll go out and catch it fresh, and keep a couple to eat. And but uh, a lot of the panfish and stuff, guys. Uh, I know bluegill. A lot of guys use red worm, but you can catch your bluegill. You can catch shad, crappie. There's a lot of things you can catch on these crappie jigs with basically the same technique if you just learn from these guys. Yeah, yeah, it was nice the other day, Stan. I understood when you were down with your back and you stayed home because I got back issues and I've been stove up. Today's the first day I've been able to move real good. But Stan 3 went out in the kayak, and I was kind of nice watching that. Which I'm not coordinated enough and I am not small enough to be in one of them kayaks fishing. That is not a good recipe. Catfish and crappie. Cat fishermen are the best pan fishermen anglers on the pan. Uh, Mark, that's very true because most of them they use the panfish for bait. Uh, that's just like these lakes here, these Duncan lakes that I'm on. There's 4 of these city lakes. You cannot throw a cast net on these lakes. You're not going to use cast nets to catch your bait. It's a $300 fine they catch you with a cast net out here. So you're going to have to catch your bait on rod and reel. And me, back when I was young and I crappie fished and everything, I cheated. I used live bait. I would go out there with minnows because I never was very good with the jigs. I never got the consistency. And I would go with guys, and it used to make me so mad. I'd jig this brush pile and nothing. a guy would walk up right behind me, drop his jig in there, and go to pulling them puppies out. It gets really frustrating, and I would just go back to live bait. But I'm to the point now. Excuse me. I'm to the point now to where I'm gonna have to learn the jigging techniques. And there's guys I see them. They'll pitch the jigs out in the water and let it swim back to the boat and stuff. And they've got that feel and that finesse. They can tell when that fish hit. I am nowhere near that good. I promise. I'm with you, Stan. I'm not getting in a kayak. That is a disaster waiting to happen. Even in a boat, I like to have lots of room because I'm big, I'm clumsy. I like to be able to move. I'm like a buffalo. When I move with force. Stan, that's funny you mentioned cane pole. Took a bunch of teenage boys fishing and I had some little toddlers. I'd call them toddlers. They were 4 or 5 years old. They're still young. And I loaded up a bunch of my fishing rods for these teenage boys. And these two little neighborhood kids, they didn't have a fishing pole. So I went to Walmart and I bought them cane poles. And I took all these kids out fishing because I thought that'd be a smart thing to do all by myself. I'm bad about that. We get out there. I've got all these kids out there fishing. And the little ones lose interest in the cane poles and they're done fishing and they were catching bluegill on just a cane pole with no weight, just the hook and the cord. And them teenage boys threw all my Abu Garcia reels down and they got them laying in the sand and they got them cane poles from them younger kids and had the time of their life with those cane poles after catching them bluegill. So you can have fun catching fish with just about anything. It's all up to you. And my wife, she loves to catch them. We got this little creek that's full of bluegill where I go and I let her catch the bluegill for my bait, for my flatheads and stuff. But once she gets down there and she gets started, man, it's hard to pull her away. I'm like, babe, we got enough bait. We got enough bait. And I'll be throwing fish back in the water and she's like, one more, one more. 2 hours later, we're still on that one more. You built a 7 foot ultralight rod for panfish. That's pretty cool. I've got all mine are 12 foot jigging poles that I use for my panfish and stuff. They got reels on them. Uh, but I am not good with the jigging. I'm trying to learn because it does help out. It helps a lot. That's like there's a lot to it. People think, oh, you just throw it on there and catch fish. You don't. Watercolor, jig color, jig head size, areas to look for. Now I do know the crappie and stuff. They like the cover. Uh, a lot of the bluegill and stuff. I can find them up in the shallow grass beds, stuff like that. Finding them's not as hard as getting them to bite. And a lot of them guys, they've done it for so long. If that fish even so much as looks at that bait, they can feel it. And a lot of the times I miss them because by the time it hits the jig and it registers to my brain and I go to set the hook, that fish has done spit that jig and went on. It is definitely cooling off. We're definitely gonna need some rain to bring these lakes back up. That water's normally way up here. All that trees and brush and stuff is usually out in the water. That fish is sitting there playing with that rod again. He is barely pecking it. My father taught me to fish with a hand line before I ever had a pole. Zebco 202, yeah. I used a lot of Zebcos. Stan, you're old enough. You probably remember. Do you remember the crappie rods they used to sell? About 3.5 to 4 foot long, but it was all metal. That was one of the first crappie rods I ever had, was that little all metal crappie rod. I loaned it to my sister and she lost it. And man, I'd give anything to have that old rod back. Them old metal crappie rods were awesome. Man, them Zebcos, them old Zebco 33s, man, they were built good. The new 33s and stuff are not near as good as the old ones. Them old 33 classics and stuff, they were built. I don't remember the number of the reel either, but Zebco used to build these little bullet reels. They weren't very big, but they would have them for all the jigging poles. With a little blue and black reel that they sold on their jigging rods. Wasn't very big, maybe, I don't know, about the size of a pill bottle. And them things were nice. Zebco's been around for a long time. Everyone got into the bass fishing, all them Zebco Quantums and stuff come out. All right, Stan, happy anniversary. Guys, I think I'm going to call it. It's getting awful cold out here. I've been at it for a little over 3 hours. I'm going to save some time so I can go live later. I want to thank everybody for coming in. If you would, give me a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. And anytime I come up with more content, you'll get a notification. Click on the little notification bell. And at the top where it says all, click on it. Every time I go live, it will go ahead and send you a notification. But I'm getting pretty cold out here. I think I'm going to call it quits and go to the house and get warm, and we'll come back at them and try them again another day. Thanks, everyone.